What if you're not actually depressed? What if you're just bored with your own potential? Not bored in the casual sense, but bored in a deeper, more dangerous way. Bored because your life no longer demands anything from you. No risk, no edge, no mountain, no fire, just comfort, routine, distraction. And maybe what you're calling depression is actually stagnation. There's a strange epidemic in the modern world. Millions of people wake up tired, unmotivated, emotionally flat. They say they feel empty, disconnected, purposeless. And often the first conclusion is, something is wrong with me. Now, to be clear, clinical depression is real. It's serious. It requires compassion and often medical support. But there is another kind of suffering that looks similar on the surface. A quiet dullness, a loss of vitality, a feeling that nothing excites you anymore. And this is where the German philosopher Friedrich Nietzsche becomes disturbingly relevant. Because Nietzsche believes something radical. Human beings are not built for comfort. We are built for challenge. And when challenge disappears, so does our sense of aliveness. Imagine a lion in a zoo. It is fed. It is safe. It is protected from danger. And yet something in its eyes is gone. There is no hunt, no test of strength, no edge of survival. The lion is not in pain, but it is not alive in the way it was meant to be. Nietzsche would argue that modern humans are that lion, safe, entertained, well-fed, and quietly losing their vitality. Before you reject this idea, pause for a second. Ask yourself something honestly. When was the last time your life truly demanded courage from you? Not minor discomfort, real challenge, real risk, real growth. If you can't remember, this video might feel uncomfortably accurate. Nietzsche introduced a concept called the will to power. Many people misunderstand it. They assume it means domination over others. But that's a shallow interpretation. For Nietzsche, the will to power meant something deeper. The drive to expand, to overcome, to grow beyond who you currently are. It's the instinct that makes a seed push through soil, the force that drives athletes to train past exhaustion, the energy behind artists who obsess over mastery. It's not about controlling others. It's about overcoming yourself. And when that drive has nowhere to go, it turns inward. And when it turns inward, it feels like heaviness, like apathy, like numbness, like depression. Modern life has quietly removed many natural challenges. You don't need to hunt. You don't need to build shelter. You don't need to fight for survival. Everything is automated, delivered, buffered, filtered. Even discomfort is optional. You can scroll instead of think, order instead of strive, escape instead of confront. And the will to power has no mountain left to climb, so it begins to rot. Not because you're weak, but because you're underused. Here's the paradox. The more comfortable your life becomes, the more fragile you start to feel. Why? Because confidence doesn't come from safety. It comes from surviving difficulty. And if your nervous system never experiences challenge, it never builds evidence that you can handle life. So small problems begin to feel enormous, not because they are, but because you're untested. Nietzsche admired struggle, not suffering for its own sake, but struggle as a sharpening force. He believed that resistance shapes character the way wind shapes a tree. A tree grown in a greenhouse grows tall and thin. A tree grown in harsh weather grows thick and strong. Modern society has become a greenhouse, and we're confused why we feel weak. Modern comfort creates a strange illusion. It promises happiness through ease, but ease without purpose becomes stagnation, and stagnation becomes quiet despair. Nietzsche once wrote, "He who has a why to live can bear almost any how." Purpose makes pain tolerable, but when there is no why, even small inconveniences feel unbearable. Let's simplify this. There are two kinds of pain. One comes from pushing yourself. The other comes from avoiding growth. The first kind feels sharp but meaningful. The second feels dull and empty. When you work towards something difficult, your brain releases energy, purpose chemicals, forward motion. Even if you're tired, you feel alive. But when you drift, when nothing in your life requires effort, your system slows down. Motivation drops, energy drops, meaning drops, and you interpret that drop as, I'm depressed. But what if your system is simply understimulated, underchallenged, underengaged? Nietzsche believed that humans need resistance. Without resistance, we decay psychologically. Think about the times in your life when you felt most alive. Was it during comfort or during growth? Starting something new, training for something difficult, building something uncertain, taking a risk. Those periods may have been stressful, but they were not empty. So here's a gentle but important question. What if the problem isn't your brain chemistry? What if it's your lifestyle? What if your soul is not sick, but starving? Starving for effort, for risk, for direction. And instead of feeding it challenge, you've been feeding it distraction. Endless scrolling, constant consumption, passive entertainment. These things numb you, but they do not strengthen you. And numbness can look like sadness. Nietzsche believed in something called self-overcoming. Not self-improvement in the shallow sense, but self-transcendence. Becoming someone stronger than yesterday. He believed meaning is not discovered. It is created through striving, through choosing a mountain, through deciding, this will be my test. Modern culture tells you to reduce stress. Nietzsche would say, choose better stress. Choose growth stress. Choose the kind that expands you. Let's go deeper. When you pursue something challenging, your brain activates dopamine not from reward, but from progress. Progress toward a meaningful goal creates vitality. Without goals, dopamine flattens, energy flattens, interest flattens. You feel gray, not broken, gray. And gray feels like depression, but it might be unused potential. There's also identity involved. When you stop testing yourself, you stop discovering yourself. You don't know what you're capable of. And uncertainty about your own strength creates quiet anxiety. Challenge builds self-trust. Without self-trust, life feels overwhelming. Not because it is overwhelming, but because you lack proof that you can handle it. Imagine two versions of you. Version A, safe, routine, predictable, low risk, low growth. Version B, training for something, building something, learning something hard, facing rejection, facing failure. Version B might be more stressed, but they are also more alive, more awake, more engaged. Nietzsche would choose version B every time, because struggle sharpens the spirit, comfort dulls it. You may still experience sadness. You may still need therapy. You may still need support. But alongside all that, ask yourself, where am I not challenging myself? Sometimes the way out of stagnation is not more comfort, it's more courage. So what do you do with this? Not extreme change, not reckless decisions, just one shift. Introduce voluntary challenge, on purpose. Pick something slightly beyond your current comfort zone. Physical, intellectual, creative, social. Train for it, commit to it, track progress, let it stretch you. The key word is voluntary. When you choose difficulty, it transforms from suffering into growth. Start small, wake up earlier, train your body, build a side project, learn something complex. Have the conversation you've been avoiding. Don't wait for motivation. Challenge creates motivation. And slowly your system wakes up. Energy returns. Color returns. Because your will to power finally has direction. Nietzsche believed that becoming who you are requires friction. Without friction, there is no shape. Without resistance, there is no strength. Without challenge, there is no transformation. So maybe you're not broken. Maybe you're under-challenged. Maybe the part of you that feels heavy is actually waiting for a mountain, waiting for a test, waiting for you to demand more from yourself. And when you do, you may discover something surprising. Not instant happiness, but aliveness. And aliveness is the foundation of meaning. If this perspective challenged you in a useful way, subscribe to the channel. Because we're not here to chase comfort. We're here to understand ourselves and to grow beyond who we were yesterday.